The Capitol Building, the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial and the White House, all iconic places to be found here in Washington, D.C., the city at the heart of the Capital Region. What you may not realise is it's also home to those enigmatic branches of US intelligence, the CIA and FBI. So if you fancy yourself as either a bit of a Bond or maybe even a Scully, then where better to come than the International Spy Museum?
This is the first public museum in the world dedicated to espionage, the International Spy Museum, and it covers the history, tradecraft, and contemporary role of espionage.
Now, this is a car that many people will recognise
Yes.
from the Bond films, the DB5. Surely cars like this weren't used, were they?
Well, a couple of answers. Number one, about 5% of the museum we take up with pop culture items, movies, books, film, because that's how the public generally is introduced to espionage. But when you ask me if cars aren't really outfitted like this, if you look around the world, particularly in Latin America, Middle East to an extent, where there are kidnappings, quite a bit of armed violence, more and more cars are being heavied up.
And one of the exhibitions you've got here is the car with the different compartments.
Yes.
Now, that's a replica of something that's real, isn't it?
It is depicting various ways in which people concealed themselves in cars to smuggle themselves out of East Berlin.
It's absolutely fascinating. And I have to say, one of my favourite items is this umbrella. Now, an item like this was used, wasn't it?
Well, this is actually designed by people who may well have been involved in the design of the original, which, as I think you know, was used in the assassination of a Bulgarian dissident near Waterloo Bridge in 1978. And what it did was fired a tiny pellet of ricin. This is what espionage or spying or intelligence really is about. Now, not everything is about gadgets, but a lot of things here fall under that sort of technical support category. This was the actual transmitter used by a woman named Virginia Hall. She had been in the embassy in Turkey, but had an accident and lost the lower part of her leg. So she had an artificial lower part of her leg. At any rate, she was recruited by British SOE, which is the operations executive, you know, the equivalent of the American OSS. After the war, she was awarded the Empire Medal. She was also decorated by the Americans. SOE felt it was too dangerous for her to continue operating, and so they brought her out. And then she was recruited by the Americans, OSS, and she went back in. After OSS was disbanded, she joined the American CIA and was there for a few years and then retired from there.
Wow, so a life of espionage.
A life of espionage, very much so. The popularity of the museum is really, I think, based on a couple of things. One of which is the endless fascination of the public with secrets. That's why so many books, movies, serials begin, the secret of, the secret behind, and so forth. And of course, espionage is a discipline, a profession, if you will, which is all about secrets.
As well as a history of espionage, the museum also demonstrates many modern spying techniques. So if you're interested in who might be tapping into your world, the Spy Museum is well worth having a snoop.